Today I'm going to talk to you about repurposing things from the kitchen to the garden. Hi, I'm Robin. Welcome to Robin's Container Garden. Hello from a sunny Scotland. Okay, so I practiced that before the rain started. So hello from a really wet and rainy Scotland. So I thought today, since I can't get out into the garden, I would talk to you about giving things a second life. We can't do anything about the packaging that we get at the supermarket, but what I want to do is show you how I give as much as I can that extra second life, even longer if possible, to use many of these things in the garden or in preparation to getting them to the garden as I can. So I'm going to talk to you about like yogurt pots, fruit punnets, milk cartons, 2-liter bottles, a bunch of other things, which all can be repurposed to make you a more sustainable gardener. Now, we've all seen all the different things that people use yogurt pots for. So a yogurt pot like this that's not translucent or clear, you can use this as a mini planter. Just poke holes in the bottom, make sure you've got plenty of drainage, and put some compost in here, some seed starting mix, and start your seeds from scratch. These are good for just small things. You could even you could use it in place of like a 3-inch container like this. I know it's smaller, but you don't have to have that much room. So that's one of the things that I use the yogurt pots for. Another one that I use is this one that is kind of semi-clear. It's got a painting, a design on it, but I actually use this one for storing things in my area of the laundry room in the house, especially if I'm going to be doing some planting out and I need some bloodfish and bone, but I don't need a ton. I'm not going to carry that big box out. I can put some in here and just take it with me. It's just nice to have some little containers that you can use around the garden to be able to do what you need to do and make your job a lot easier. These are my favorite. I have tons of these because I've been saving them for a couple of years. I tend to try to make my own yogurt, but if I can't make my own yogurt for whatever reason, if I don't have time or if there's a lot going on, then I'll buy yogurt. And I love to buy the yogurt in the clear little pots like this. These are perfect propagator lids. So they fit on these little containers perfectly, right over the top. So whenever I'm planting seeds in my little 3-inch pots, when I'm done planting them, before they germinate, I'll use those as a propagator lid, just like that. And they're perfect. They do exactly what I need them to do. I will sometimes cut, these come with a little tab on the side, and I will sometimes cut that off to make them fit better together, so they're not like bumping into each other. Once the seeds germinate, then I've removed the lids and then they stack really well. So that's a few different ways that I use yogurt pots. Another thing that I use from the kitchen are these little fruit punnets. We eat a lot of fruit. I have grapes every day for lunch, different kinds of things in these little fruit punnets. So some of them come just like this with no holes in the bottom, and some of them come with pre-made holes in the bottom as well. Now these, and then we'll talk about these in a minute. These are the ones with holes, and what I do is that I'll use those as like a tray to sit the plants in, so when they get watered, they've got a place for the water to go and it doesn't go all over the counter or whatever. So that's one of the ways that I use those. And I'll also put the ones with holes out here in the greenhouse. I'll use them in the greenhouse as seed starter trays. So I'll put some compost in, I'll sow some seeds, and like I did with my marigolds, I have a couple of rows of different kinds of marigolds, and then when they get up to a certain size, I repot them, which is what I did over the weekend. And you can see that up here. There's a picture of all my marigolds. I think it was about 130, 140 of them got moved on to bigger pots. But I use these fruit punnets all the time. I've got stacks and stacks of them. Another thing that they're very good for is that if you don't have any of those little clear yogurt pots, you can use these without the holes as propagator lids for your smaller pots like that. And I also use those as propagator lids if I'm going to use the fruit punnet as a seed starting tray. So once the seeds germinate, just lift that little sucker right off there and you're in business. And as you can see, they are the perfect size to hold 2 little 3-inch pots. And these are in here. This is some Genovese basil. These are in this little pot so I can water from below. And I can put these on the windowsill because they fit perfectly on the windowsill, and they also fit really well out here in the greenhouse. Something else that I use from the kitchen, milk cartons. These are perfect. The plastic is food safe. It's also recyclable, so once you get through everything you can get through with these things, you can recycle these. And if you're using these like I do, this is the main thing that I use these for, are plant labels. I write on these with Sharpie, and I can get them off most of the time with a little bit of soap and elbow grease. And if I can't do that, then I can use some rubbing alcohol to kind of wipe it down. But most of the time, I just rub it off with soap and water. Another thing that you can use milk cartons for is a planter. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. You've seen my planter that I used outside before my last frost date. And you just cut around here using this part here as a hinge so you don't cut through that. You put a little bit of soil in the bottom, make sure you have drainage holes in the bottom. Put a little bit of soil in here, put your seeds in, leave the top open for ventilation, let a little water in, and then tape it closed. And there you've got a little mini greenhouse. But you can also cut this whole bit off. Cut it around here and around this way, and leaving the handle on. And you can, if you had a place where you could go across, if I had like a bar, I could use an S-hook and hang this from here and have a little extra space to grow. And I may actually do that eventually because I've got some bars up here. I don't know if you can see them, but I've got bars up here that I might actually be able to use and get some like herbs or something started growing in here. And those are fantastic for that. My old friend, the 2-liter bottle. These come in handy as well. You can use these in a few different ways. One way is to cut it in half, or to cut it, for this one, because of this little bit here, I probably would cut it right below where that kind of starts to angle out, and put some holes in the bottom and turn it upside down and use it as a little cloche. Right before the last frost date, you could use these as cloches on things like just small plants that need a little bit of extra heat, maybe a little bit of protection. You can also cut the bottom and the top of it off, so you've got a little plastic tube that can act as a windbreak for smaller, delicate plants. Now you've seen the way that I've used those with my leeks, and they are actually flourishing because not only are they getting that protection from the wind, they're also getting a little bit more heat because they act like a little bit of a, almost like a greenhouse, but it doesn't have a top on it, so it doesn't get quite as hot. 2-liter bottles, again, food safe, recyclable, so you don't have to worry about little bits and pieces that you don't use that you end up putting in your recycling. Now, you don't use these in the kitchen. I hope you don't use these in the kitchen, but you do use them in your house. These are toilet roll rolls, toilet roll tubes. That's what they are. They're toilet roll tubes. Now, I had set this up to plant some corn in, but I ran out of seeds. So all of my corn is in a different container. But what I use these for is sweet peas, corn, onions, anything that has a sensitive root system that you don't want to disturb when you're transplanting, or you don't want to pot on because of the sensitive root system, you can use these toilet rolls. And I just put them in with some soil and top them up with some more soil and then put my seed in. They tend to stay together pretty well even when they're wet. And the best thing about the toilet rolls is that because they're cardboard and they don't have paint on them, they are compostable. So you can either just plant them straight into the ground and not even disturb the roots at all, or if they're wet, you can peel the cardboard off and then put your plug into the ground. And when you're finished with them, whatever's left over goes straight into the compost bin. So you're not wasting anything. Jars. I keep all the jars, like all the jars, I keep them. The ones with the pop lids on top, the ones that make the little pop noise when you hit the center, I keep those for canning and for making jam during the summer. And the ones that don't have the pop lids, like this one, I use for a few different things. This one, you can see, I have my crushed eggshells in. I also make calendula balm at the end of the season. I will cure the calendula flowers in one of these jars until they're ready to make into balm. You can also use them to store seeds in, like bean seeds or pea seeds, especially if you're harvesting your own seeds from your garden, especially the kind of seeds that are a little bit too big to put into an envelope to keep in your seed box. Just make sure that you put something in there that's going to absorb moisture, like a little packet of silica gel that you get from any electronics. And if we're getting really silly, and if you have, say, a wooden spoon that has a broken handle, you could use that as a plant marker. You could write on the back, you could write what your plant is, stick that baby in the ground, and it's really cute. You could even make it even better by painting it or really going to town making it really adorable. You can do the same with popsicle sticks or lolly sticks. I don't have any of those because we haven't had lollies in ages, but you could also use those. And obviously these are wooden, so they also could go in your compost heap, probably at the bottom though, but they're not bad for the environment. Better than throwing away a wooden spoon though, right? You know what's coming, don't you? It's time for the big question. What is your favorite second life thing that wasn't necessarily intended for the garden that you have modified or been able to use in your garden? Tell me down in the comments because I really want to know. Reusing items from your kitchen into your garden not only reduces waste, but it can also add charm and functionality to your outdoor space. So whether it's transforming yogurt containers, repurposing punnets as little seed starting planters, or creating compostable root trainers from toilet roll tubes, possibilities are endless. Embrace your creativity and see what you can come up with for your own space and watch your garden thrive. If you want to find out more about the milk carton planters, watch this video here. And remember, you don't have to grow all the things, just grow something. Take care. Bye, y'all.